You spend around $10 every month on disposable period products that end up in landfills. Yet during the 1930s, women experiencing homelessness managed their periods without spending anything at all. These women, often referred to as Hobo, women traveled across America during the Great Depression with no access to pharmacies, stores, or modern hygiene products. They weren't helpless, sick, or suffering. They had a system that worked, a system women had relied on for thousands of years before disposable products existed. This is knowledge the modern period product industry does not want you to remember. During the Great Depression, more than 2 million people were riding freight trains in search of work. Contrary to popular belief, women made up a significant portion of this population. Estimates suggest that 10 to 15% of hobos were women, many of whom disguised themselves as men for safety. These were not adventurous travelers. They were mothers, daughters, and sisters who had lost everything, and every month they menstruated, they managed their periods on moving trains, in makeshift camps known as hobo jungles, and in towns that often treated them with hostility. They had no access to disposable pads, tampons, or running water. Yet they survived long journeys, worked physical labor, and maintained their health. They did not rely on expensive products, they used cloth. This was not a desperate improvisation. It was a continuation of a system women had used throughout history. Ancient Egyptian women used folded linen. Roman women used wool. Pioneer women crossing America used cotton scraps. For thousands of years, reusable cloth was the standard method of menstrual care. It was effective, sustainable, and free. Hobo women typically carried several strips of cotton fabric, often cut from old flour sacks, worn-out sheets, or donated clothing that could no longer be worn. These were not random rags. The fabric was carefully prepared, washed, sometimes boiled, and dried in the sun. Boiling killed bacteria, and sunlight added another layer of natural disinfection. Each strip was usually around 3 inches wide and 12 to 15 inches long. The cloth was folded into a thick pad and pinned to underwear using safety pins. When the cloth became soaked, it was removed, rinsed in whatever water was available, and stored in a separate bag until proper washing was possible. When they reached a safe place with access to fire and water, the used cloths were boiled together in a tin can. This process fully sanitized them. Afterward, they were dried in the sun near a fire, or even inside clothing using body heat. The entire system took up very little space, weighed almost nothing, cost no money, and could last for years. Compared to modern disposable pads used once and thrown away, this system produced no waste and required no ongoing expense. Disposable pads contain plastic and petroleum-based materials that can take hundreds of years to break down. Over a lifetime, the average woman spends thousands of dollars on these products and discards hundreds of pounds of waste. But the system was not just about cloth. It was supported by shared knowledge. Hobo women passed information to one another through informal networks. They shared tips about where to find clean water, which towns had public bathhouses, which churches or aid groups offered privacy and soap, and which places were safer for women. They even used their own symbols, carved into fence posts and rail yard walls, to communicate information relevant specifically to women's symbols that men often did not understand or notice. They also understood flexibility. When conditions were good, they washed thoroughly with hot water and soap. When conditions were poor, they relied on sun-drying and careful rotation. In the worst situations, such as long train rides, they used dry cloths as long as possible and dealt with washing later. It was not perfect, but it worked. Despite modern assumptions, these women were not constantly sick or infected. The human body, when paired with breathable natural fibers and basic hygiene, handles menstruation effectively. Cotton allows airflow, unlike plastic-backed pads that trap heat and moisture. Regular washing with water and soap is sufficient for cleanliness. Chemical fragrances and superabsorbent polymers are not necessary. These women also possessed a strong body awareness. Without apps or calendars, they tracked their cycles by paying attention to physical signs changes in mood, appetite, cramps, or energy levels. This knowledge allowed them to anticipate their periods and prepare in advance. Body literacy was common and passed down from older women as essential survival knowledge. They also adjusted their cloth usage based on flow. Heavy days meant thicker folds or multiple layers. Light days required less fabric. They adapted to their daily activities, using heavier protection when travel or work, limited opportunities to change. So how did this knowledge disappear? In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, disposable menstrual products began to appear. Early versions failed because women already had effective systems and saw no reason to pay for replacements. That changed in the 1920s, when aggressive marketing campaigns reframed menstruation management. Companies didn't just sell products, they sold shame. Reusable cloth was portrayed as dirty, outdated, and embarrassing. Disposable products were marketed as modern, clean, and respectable. Over time, women were taught that relying on cloth meant being poor or uneducated. After World War II, disposable culture expanded rapidly, and within a generation, the knowledge of cloth-based period care largely disappeared. The financial impact is significant. Over decades of menstruation, women spend thousands of dollars on disposable products. Meanwhile, the global period product industry generates billions in profit annually by replacing free knowledge with paid dependence. The environmental impact is equally serious. Disposable pads and tampons contain plastic and synthetic materials that persist in landfills for centuries. Tampons are often bleached with chlorine, creating chemical byproducts. Toxic shock syndrome, a condition associated with tampon use, did not exist before tampons were introduced. Reusable cloth systems, when used properly, do not carry these risks. Today, many so-called eco-friendly products are simply repackaged versions of what women once made themselves, now sold at high prices with modern branding. The method itself is not new. It is a return to forgotten knowledge. For those who want to apply this system today, the basics are simple. Use 100% cotton fabric-wool t-shirts, sheets, or flannel. Cut strips approximately 3 to 4 inches wide and 12 to 15 inches long. Fold them to the desired thickness and secure them with pins or snug underwear. After use, rinse in cold water, then wash in hot water with detergent. Sun drying provides additional sanitation. Over time, the routine becomes second nature. Some people find cloth more comfortable due to better airflow. Others find it less convenient because it requires washing. That trade-off is between convenience and independence. The key point is this: women managed menstruation safely and effectively for thousands of years without corporations, subscriptions, or plastic waste. The idea that modern products are the only safe option is a relatively recent narrative, one driven by profit, not necessity. The solution to period management is not hidden in expensive packaging or monthly purchases. It already existed long before disposable products, and it still works today.